Hey guys, this is Alex DeClaire with IdealSportsEntertainment.com. Make sure before we get started with this video, make sure to check out IDC Nation on YouTube, Ideal Sports Entertainment on Instagram, and myself at Alex DeClaire on Twitter. But we are talking about NFL Divisional round today, and we're going to cover just briefly each game. There are 4, both 2 today and 2 tomorrow, and they're expected to be great games. Starting off with a great game today, the Vikings versus the 49ers today at 3:35 Central Time. The spread for that game is in favor of the San Francisco 49ers by 7. So, kind of breaking this down real quick, just kind of throwing out some small facts here. The 49ers have a very strong pass defense. Now, we saw the Vikings last week. Kirk Cousins did a great job, including the final drive of the game with his arm. So, kind of a spotty Vikings offense through the air, really just depending on if Adam Thielen shows up and those other receivers decide to show up. Dalvin Cook on the ground is great, and I'm really expecting that to be the difference maker for the Vikings. Now, the Vikings have a really strong pass offense, and the 49ers thrive on quick passes. Jimmy G is not really known to have taken the game into his own hands, so another huge key for the Vikings is making Jimmy G win the game for the 49ers. If you take it out of that three-headed monster in the backfield and force Jimmy G to beat you with George Kittle and Emmanuel Sanders and Deebo Samuel, then that's going to be kind of the difference in the game. I'm still expecting the 49ers to win this game, but I'm taking the Vikings to cover that 7-point spread. Next up, we have the Seahawks versus the Packers. This is tomorrow at 5:40 Central Time. Now I'm going NFC to NFC matchup, and then I'm going to jump into the AFC matchup because we have the Ravens and the Titans later today. But first, I want to cover both NFC matchups. So the Seahawks have been heavily dependent on Russell Wilson, and that has been a good thing and a bad thing. After losing Chris Carson to a season-ending injury and losing the rest of their running backs, and then rehiring or giving Marshawn Lynch this short-term contract, calling him back, then a lot of offense has been predicated around Marshawn Lynch and Travis Homer. So if they're able to exploit the Packers' weak rush defense, I think there's huge games for Marshawn Lynch and Travis Homer both. On the other side, the Seahawks have a weaker rush defense as well, which leaves an opening for Aaron Jones to have a big game. Aaron Jones has been a stellar, he's had really a breakout year this year with the Packers, and I'm expecting him to have a big game against the Seahawks on the ground. Now, one thing through the air that the Packers are weak against is the deep ball, and Russell Wilson has been known, especially recently, to get the deep ball going with Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf, both over 900 yards on the season, and DK Metcalf having an incredible game last week against the Eagles. I expect that to be another weapon that Russell Wilson really exploits. So really the keys for this game is on the Seahawks side, you have to stop Aaron Jones. And then on the Packers side, you have to prevent Russell Wilson from taking over the game, both on the ground and through the air. And then on top of that, you have to stop the deep ball. That being said, I'm taking the Packers in a blowout. I know this is really not a common pick amongst a lot of analysts, but I've said it on the Sliced Apples podcast, episode 11. Go check that out. But I said it there, and I'm going to stick with it. I think it'll be a close game in the first half, but I expect Aaron Jones and Aaron Rodgers to explode in the second half and really take at least, they won't cover the spread, at least a 10-point win. Switching over to the AFC, we have the Titans versus the Ravens. And so that is going to be later today at 7:15 Central Time. Now, both teams are heavily dependent on the run, both with Lamar Jackson and Mark Ingram on the Ravens side, and then you switch over and Derrick Henry has really been the catalyst for the Titans offense. Now, when you talk about something besides the run and besides Lamar Jackson for the Ravens, you talk about the tight ends. Mark Andrews especially, who has had a breakout season and done stellar. That is important because they utilize, with the run-pass option, the tight end option a ton when they're trying to get rid of the ball, and that is especially weak on the Titans defensive side. So expect Mark Andrews to have a big game, and on top of that, I expect Ryan Tannehill to not have a big game because the Ravens deep pass defense is especially strong. So I don't expect AJ Brown to be a huge factor in this game. I really think if the Titans have any chance in winning this game, it has to be on the shoulders of Derrick Henry, and that is one of my keys to the game for the Ravens is you have to stop Derrick Henry. And then on the other side, for most keys of the game when you're playing against the Ravens, you have to contain Lamar Jackson in some form or fashion and force him to beat you through the air, which he probably still will, which is why I expect the Titans to cover, but I'm taking the Ravens and they're moving on. Now for the last game and the second AFC game, this game, the Titans versus the Chiefs, is tomorrow, 2:05 Central Time, and it's going to be a big game, primarily because the Texans won this matchup earlier in the season. Granted, the Chiefs didn't have Sammy Watkins, and they weren't at their full strength, I would say. Patrick Mahomes certainly didn't have all of his toys. And I expect this game to be really a shootout. Now, the Chiefs defense is especially weak on the ground, so this is going to be a big day for the Texans backs and really Deshaun Watson on the ground. If they're able to exploit that and open up the offense through the air, I think the Texans have a chance, but one of the keys is the Texans' pass defense is especially weak. And if you're playing against Patrick Mahomes, who threw 50 touchdowns last year and is arguably the best quarterback in the league right now, I mean, you can throw Lamar Jackson in there, but just for argument's sake, Patrick Mahomes is in the top 3 for best quarterback right now. If you have a weak pass defense, it's going to be a long day for you, or an especially short day, because I expect the Chiefs to win this game. I expect the Texans to cover. I expect the Texans to cover. But I expect the Chiefs to be overpowering, and I don't think the Texans defense can keep up with Patrick Mahomes when he has all of his toys at his disposal. Travis Kelce has had an amazing season. Sammy Watkins, you have Shady McCoy. You have tons of weapons on the offensive side for the Chiefs that I expect to get fully used and really just bury the Texans in the first half. The key for me is if they're off to an early lead, the Chiefs will win this game. And the key for the Texans is if you're able to exploit that weak run defense, and really just the key for the first game when the Texans won was the time of possession. So if you're able to possess the ball long enough and establish the run strong enough, then you're able to take the game into your own hands. But if you keep Patrick Mahomes his opportunity to get back on the field, play after down after down, or drive after drive, then you're going to lose this game. So time of possession, keeping Patrick Mahomes off the field, exploiting the Chiefs' weak run defense on the Texans side. And then on the Chiefs side, I expect, or the key to the game, is the Chiefs getting off to an early start, possibly a touchdown drive on the first drive, this sort of thing. If they're able to get off to an early lead, I expect Bill O'Brien and them not to be able to respond or adjust appropriately. And I'm taking the Texans to cover, but I think the Chiefs are moving on. That's everything I have for you guys. So if you haven't checked out the channel, ISC Nation on YouTube, if you haven't checked out the Instagram, Ideal Sports Entertainment, the website, idealsportsentertainment.com, has all of our content, including podcasts, articles, more YouTube videos, personal takes, my personal freelance work. Anything that you would want to know about ISE, Ideal Sports Entertainment, is going to be on idealsportsentertainment.com. Please go check that out. Don't forget to subscribe, like, leave a comment, start a conversation. I want to know what you all think about what's going on this weekend in the divisional round. If you disagree, agree, if you think I missed a point, please let it be known. And I'm at Alex DeClaire on Twitter, and I will see you next time.